Next year is going to be a very important year for Real Madrid. Number one, there is a possibility that Real Madrid could go 3 years without a trophy. And number two, there's also a possibility that PSG could match Real Madrid's Champions League three-peat from 2016 to 2018 if they win the Champions League next year. So let's break down how possible it is for PSG to win it and how they also could not win it at the same time. Now, PSG are very fortunate, in my opinion, in playing in a league where there isn't many competition. PSG in League One are literally the only big team that are dominating. There is no Barcelona or, let's say, Atletico Madrid equivalent in League One. It's basically PSG winning through all the teams. And because of that, they have the ability to rest their players. They can rest their players for many matches and actually play their best players against Champions League matches. And we saw it last year. I think there were several games where PSG rested their players. And of course, when it came to the Champions League, they played their best players. And that works towards PSG advantage. It means they save energy, they save time, they save costs for the big games in the Champions League. So based on that actual fact, there's a strong possibility that PSG could win it again. And we also have to add to the fact that PSG's core has not been changed much. And for you to win the Champions League back-to-back, your core can't change too much. Let's break it down. So from 2016 to 2018, what was the core of that Real Madrid team? Cristiano Ronaldo, Toni Kroos, Casemiro, Modric, Sergio Ramos, right? They didn't change their core much from 2016 to 2018. If you keep changing the pieces of your core or of your chessboard or of your puzzle, you're making your team unstable. And to win multiple Champions Leagues back to back, you need to have a strong core that understands each other, understands how to play, understands, their strengths and weaknesses. And PSG have had the same core for the past 3 years, essentially ever since Luis Enrique took over. We know the PSG core, particularly in midfield, is, again, Neves, Ruiz, and Vitinha. And this midfield over here, they won the Champions League back-to-back in 2025, and of course, this year as well. Now, further on in their core, Mendes, the left back, Marquinhos, Dembele, that's the PSG core. And this year, they've not changed much. They want to sell Barcola. They brought in Ali Kuche from Monaco. And that's pretty much it. And they want to bring in Ferran Torres. Again, nothing much has changed. Not bringing in 5 players or selling 6 players or 8 players. The PSG core stays the same. It's a winning core. Now, based on those two factors, having their core and, of course, the ability to rest their players in League One, that gives PSG a good chance to rival Real Madrid's three-peat. And you know what? It's not easy even winning back-to-back Champions Leagues. But again, the same PSG core won the Champions Leagues back-to-back. If you have the same core that's won it once already, they have the experience of winning big games, playing on the big stage. And of course, the same PSG team basically won the Champions League last year. I won it again with the same team this year. Same for Real Madrid. The same Real Madrid core won the Champions League from 2016, 2017, 2018. Having the same core is very, very important. Now, again, not the same to an absolute T, but just having most of the same players that have won it already to win it again next year and future years. And PSG have that. So PSG have two things going for them, having the same core or a lot of the players they've won back-to-back, similar core of players, and of course, playing in League One where there isn't much competition. PSG can rest their best players and play their best players in the Champions League. So now, bearing that aside, winning a Champions League 3 times in a row is not easy. And there's a reason why only Real Madrid have won it in the modern era. Now, There's also a possibility that PSG may not win it again next year. Let's break it down. So, number one, other teams are strengthening. And before I even go further into what teams are strengthening, if you look at how PSG won the Champions League this year, I think they were quite lucky, especially it went to penalties. And I do feel like Arsenal nullified the PSG attack very well in the Champions League final. And when it went to penalties, either team could win. I think Arsenal were very unlucky in not winning on penalties. They just scraped by Arsenal, and they pretty much scraped by Bayern Munich as well. I think it was Bayern they played against. They pretty much scraped past them to get to the final. Bayern could have won that game as well. But again, you need luck to win these kind of games in the Champions League. Now, bearing that in mind, knowing that Arsenal nullified PSG, and of course, Bayern Munich also had a great game against PSG, both these teams are strengthening this summer. Arsenal wanted to build upon their Premier League win and having a great season last year. So what does that mean? They brought in Bruno G from Newcastle. They're looking to bring in a left winger. They tried getting Vinicius Jr. If they did get Vinicius Jr., I would have literally put Arsenal as Champions League favourites. But they didn't get him. They're looking at other options, potentially Julian Alvarez, etc., etc. So Arsenal are strengthening. Bayern Munich as well. They're also strengthening as well. And you know what's even funny? Arsenal and Bayern Munich are keeping the same core. Notice how they're not changing too much of their team. They're keeping the same core. For Arsenal, Rice, Saka, Gyökeres, Saliba, Gabriel, etc., etc. For Bayern Munich, Olise didn't go to Real Madrid. Kimmich is part of that core. Kane is part of that core. Just a few tweaks on the board can allow these teams to actually compete on the same level as PSG next year. That could make it very hard for PSG to actually retain the Champions League. Then we have Barcelona as well. And I think with Barcelona, they're being very smart with their buy this year. I feel with them getting Rodri potentially, I think there's a deal to get Rodri very, very soon. That will make Barcelona very strong, very, very strong. Them getting Rodri, and if they also get Julian Alvarez as well, Barca will be favourites alongside Bayern and Arsenal to challenge PSG for the Champions League. So it won't be that easy for PSG, particularly as to how other big teams are strengthening as well. Then you have Real Madrid as well. We cannot rule out Real Madrid, in winning the Champions League next year. It is a competition. The players that won in 2024 for Real Madrid are still at Real Madrid right now. Who are these players? Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Camavinga. So they have the experiences of winning on the biggest stage. However, Real Madrid have brought in a lot of players this summertime. There's clearly some changes needed. They definitely need a controlling midfielder, a creative midfielder, and that could work against Real Madrid, against PSG or any other big team in the Champions League. But bearing that in mind, that Real Madrid and Bayern Munich game, that could have went either way. I feel like Real Madrid could have won that game if not for Camavinga's stupid red card. I feel like Real Madrid could have won that Bayern Munich game if not for Camavinga's stupid red card. So we cannot rule out Real Madrid. So overall, I feel like it's 50-50. There's a 50% chance that PSG could retain. I feel like there's a possibility that PSG could win it for the third time in a row, based on the fact that they're keeping the same core of players that have won it twice already, and they're playing in a league where they can rest their best players. So the other part as to why they could not win it is that other teams are building as well, and teams that were close to beating PSG last year are also building as well. Arsenal, Bayern Munich. So again, 50-50. I can't skew either way, but I'm looking forward to seeing how next year's Champions League will go. I think it's going to be an awesome campaign. The big teams are building across the Premier League, across La Liga, Serie A, etc., etc. And we have to see, okay, do PSG have the willpower and the strength and the players to actually win it 3 times in a row, we shall see. I'm Charlotte's Match Day. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.